This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. I hope everybody had a great and Merry Christmas. And we are hopefully currently having a happy New Year. We've got a lot to talk about, as you very well know. Taking 2 weeks off. And I hope you all had some time off, especially some of you retired people that I love. I love you guys, and I want to be one. Hopefully soon, I want to be one. Now, I'm going into my feed here. We're going to see, we have Joe hit me up on a tag, and I'm hoping that I can see the broadcast through that, because the password on Restream, which we use to restream our show, went out. So I'm not seeing it right now. Let me try the Bitcoin Otter feed. And let's see. Nope, not yet. So we're going to try and figure out a way to get onto my feed, both with the Christopher Ott and the Bitcoin Otter feeds. So nothing yet, but we're going to keep trying. I'll tell you, the Bitcoin thing is a mystery, right? Why is it doing what it does? Why is it so, tied to this range it's in between somewhere around 85, 86 to somewhere around 90, 91? Current Bitcoin price, 91,200. And silver, there's the story right there. It reached $81 an ounce a couple days ago. They smashed it during the week. It was upwards of 78, 79. It had hit 80, and they flooded the market with a bunch of worthless paper contracts to get it down. They smashed it down to 75, 74, maybe even lower. I can't remember. But it doesn't work. It's not going to work. We're going to keep on hammering. We're going to keep on buying. We have to, because it is such a scarce resource, and the price is way too low for the scarcity that we see and can predict. Why? Well, the fact is, it's an industrial metal. It is a precious metal. It is the best conductor around. It has so many properties that lend it to be a better metal than any other in electronics that, well, we find silver in all of our electronics, be it a cell phone, a TV, a computer monitor, a computer itself. And, of course, those ugly things that people put on the roofs, they're solar panels. And they keep making those things. Anyway, it takes a lot of silver for all that stuff. And it's not in the quantities or in the places where you can really recoup it. It's just wasted. So it's not getting any more plentiful. In fact, it's reversing that. At least with gold, it's in jewelry, it's in bars, it's in whatever. And it sticks around. You can tell, right? So the problem we have here, what's going on now anyway, is that they're rigging the market. It's not going to last much longer, ladies and gents. I'm not going to, pin a day to it or anything like that. But what I can say is that I'm going to do my best to keep you apprised of this situation, and then just make sure, hopefully, that this is going to happen while you and I have some, be it vaulted in a secure location or buried in the yard. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is, having some is better than not having some. So we got 2 viewers on. Looks like 3. Let's see who we have here. And it's not showing me. But it says we have 3 viewers. And thank you to all 3 of you. I just can't see you. Joe, can you see who it is that's popping up? All right, we can't see. So I am open to the comments, though. Looks like I'm on the Bitcoin Otter feed, which is also being shunted through Joe's KCYP 97.7 out of McAllen, which I didn't even mention we're going off the terrestrial air in 97.7 KCYP, the city, out of McAllen, Texas. We are broadcasting from the McAllen Creative Incubator, and we're also going out on YouTube, Facebook, TuneIn Radio, and Radio Garden. So there are many places to find the show. Hopefully you do. But like I said, I don't have that, unfortunately, don't have my Facebook password, and on our restreaming device, it just didn't work out that way. So what I'm thinking of doing, if we can't get it for me on the Christopher Ott broadcast, then what I'll do is I'll just go live from the phone. What do you think about that, Joe? Yeah. We're going to do that? All right. So I'm just going to go live on the Christopher Ott, and we'll break into, somebody's afternoon. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to go live. Share and go live. We're going out and we're going live. So all of you, thank you very much for your patience. And here we are going live on the Christopher Ott Facebook channel. And, we're doing things the way we do them. It's not, how would you say, optimal? But hey, since when have we been optimal? It just doesn't compute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue. And let's see, I see 2 guest requests. Allow the viewers to join in. Of course. Share the broadcast. And we're going to invite some people, I guess. And we'll see what happens there. But the fact of the matter is this. We are having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're fighting through, man. We're fighting through. That's just the way we do. So the problem, hey, Sue, good to see you. Awesome. You can see me now. Dad, how you doing, Dad? Jim, good to see you. I hope all is well over there in Florida, sunny FLA. So, again, I can't see what hey, Corinne's on there. Good to see you. I can't see, for whatever reason, what it is that, oh, shoot, I know what it is. I got my sticker on there. Got to take the sticker off. See, I'm a really paranoid guy, and I don't want people to look at me too much because I'm not all that attractive. Don't tell my wife. But also, hey, Barry, how you doing? Matt, you're on there too. Good to see you guys. Sorry for the delay. Had a little delay there, a little technical difficulty. So there we go. Barry's on. Okay, everybody's on. So it's a little bit cloudy because I have occluded the camera, the front-facing camera. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just went over the price of Bitcoin, $91,200, silver, $77.72 an ounce, and gold, just about $4,500 an ounce. Your average mortgage rate is still way too high, 6.22 for a 30-year rate and 5.53 at a 15-year rate. We're going to hope that when they turn on those money machines and go brrr, well then, you're on YouTube. Thank you very much, Barry. Appreciate that. So thanks for the spit shine. Yeah, hopefully I got the cloudiness off of that. And we'll figure that out. But as usual, I want to get with you on a serious tip. And I don't have the exact chapter verse, but I'm pretty sure it's in Luke chapter 4. And I read it today. So it was about the temptation of Jesus by our enemy, Satan. Okay, yeah, the same guy who's possessing these crazy people out in the streets that we're going to talk about in a little bit. So Jesus was taken up after 40 days of fasting. I mean, you can imagine how hard that might have been. No matter what time frame you're in, 40 days, 40 nights, that's amazing. So the last one really intrigued me, or I think it was the middle one, where the enemy devil, Satan, took him up to a mountain and said, in a moment, meaning it was all condensed into one moment. And he said, all of these kingdoms can be yours. All you have to do is worship me. And that got me kind of thinking about movies. Why? Because in the commentary, it said that, there was a reason why he took him on top of the mountain. And have you not seen so many mountain motifs and icons in Hollywood. You know, you got the Paramount thing and all that mess, right? And then the stars, of course, you got the stars. So the problem is we have, you know, lies going out on Hollywood screens, and there was Jesus being lied to, right? Because, you know, the enemy lies, and he never would have given them those kingdoms. It doesn't matter. Jesus knows that he was going to get them from his Father anyway. So he resisted, and we win. We win. Okay? And we're going to continue winning. So, Barry, you say you can't see pick? Or was that before? Okay, so we're on YouTube. And are we still on YouTube, Barry? I hope. I'm not sure. But where I'm going to go with this now is some crypto news. It's Cointelegraph telling us that the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, will now be fully Republican and set for pro-crypto rulemaking in 2026. That would be nice, right? But not to say that there are no faults with Republicans. Man, they're slimy too, right? But the fact of the matter is, the reason why the Democrats don't like crypto is because it's cutting into their fraud organizations, their fraud scams, all of that stuff, which we all know now, right? Somalian daycare, anyone? Yeah. $2.5 million a year for those people. So I've got an idea. And you know what, Joe? You're going to be part of this. Instead of the daycare thing for kids, let's do one for old people. I mean, we can hang out there, drink coffee all day long. If somebody comes to inspect it, they look in and there we are. Old people. Yeah. Doing what we do. $2.5 million a year, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, maybe stop by. I don't know. If you're old, you got to be old. You can't come if you're young. Awesome. Thank you, Barry. So, Caroline Crenshaw has left the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, leaving the agency solely comprising of Republicans. Amazing, isn't it? As a result, nothing stands in the way of pro-crypto rulemaking. Republicans in Washington have generally been friendlier toward the crypto industry than their Democrat counterparts. The SEC made a 180-degree turn last year after President Donald Trump entered office and Congress moved on landmark crypto legislation. This is all good news to us, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Well, because we are not going to be very long, very long in this current criminal cabal-like state of the Federal Reserve that is not federal and has no reserves. So we are getting away from those shystas, and we are going on to real money. Now, if you're into crypto, you know about the big part about crypto. It's decentralized, meaning there's no central bank there. You're the bank. And my dad says, don't tell me about old people. Well, you know, you could come by too, Dad. We'll all have coffee, maybe some donuts, pan dulce, well, maybe even some tamales on Wednesdays, or is that Tuesdays? Tuesday tamale day? Whatever. We'll do it. And there will not be a repeat of the Somalian thing where they go to the places and there's no kids, you know. We're going to be there because, we're getting old. Anyway, also, well, that's good news, right, from Cointelegraph, that we're set for pro-crypto rulemaking. The Genius Act changes would be a national security trap, crypto execs say. Now, this, again, is from Cointelegraph. The bank lobbies requested changes to the stablecoin regulating Genius Act could undermine competition and weaken the U.S. dollar's global position, crypto executives and industry groups have claimed. Now, what's at stake here is the fact that with these stablecoins, you or I could hopefully and potentially deposit them in an exchange, in a decentralized app, something like that, and receive much more interest than we could in a bank that, the usual suspects own. So they're given, 3%? Doesn't even cover inflation. So there's no use in saving your money in a bank anymore. And they know that, and that's what they want. But the fact of the matter is, you can now, based on the rules, deposit stable coins, which go 1 and 1 with the dollar. $1 equals 1 stable coin. Depending on which one you go, it's all the same. But I would suspect that the American companies that are issuing stable coins are going to be the ones that you're going to go to, right? So you have probably, they have the USDL, I think it is, which is the Trump worldwide something or other. Then you have the USRL, I think, which is Ripple, the XRP one. You have Tether, USD, a lot of them. Okay. So we're going to have options with those. So we can, if we're not in the market, we're not, wheeling and dealing with our cryptos, we can just deposit our stable coins and it's better than a bank. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Coin Central says this. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong calls China's stablecoin move a wake-up call. Okay, basically what this article says is that China is going to do just that. They're going to allow their stablecoins to be deposited and pay interest on them. So they're already ahead of the game. The big thing here is going to be fighting off those central bankers and their crime syndicate. So if we can finally get that, I think we're going to be very well ahead of everybody because of how crypto friendly our current administration is. Many say, and I think it's quite probable, that he's going to dig us out of this whole debt thing, 38 trillion or whatever it is, with cryptos, using cryptos. And we'll see how that happens. But here's what I'm thinking, ladies and gents. Do we really owe that much money? I mean, after this debacle in Minnesota with that crazy man Walls, Tampon Tim. I don't think we owe this money. I really don't. I mean, I don't know how we would figure out, to measure what was legitimate debt and what was, fraudulent debt. But I would have to imagine that fraudulent debt is huge. And we are not on the hook for that. Let's just stick it to the Rockefellers. Let's stick it to the Rothschilds. Let's stick it to all those people. Yes, yes, and yes. Now, this is out of Zero Hedge. Tim Walz activates Emergency Operations Center, alerts National Guard after ICE-involved shooting sparks protest threat. Now, I have this in the later articles, but as we all know, there was a shooting this week, and it involved a woman who was a paid protester. She called herself, or someone called her, or a group of people called her a warrior of sorts, an ICE warrior, meaning she would fight against ICE. She was all for social justice and all this kind of stuff. She had a wife of her own and 3 kids, I guess, with an ex-husband. Yeah, you can't be impregnated by your wife. Anyway, I digress. So what I guess is going on now, Jody, how you doing? Yeah, I'm sorry, Jody. We had a little switch up here, and it's actually KCYP 97.7. Joe Martinez's feed tagged to mine, and then all that kind of stuff happened. Anyway, thank you for showing up. I'm just now, we've got some crypto news out of the way, and I'm just now getting on the shooting and who that person was. So she had 3 kids. One of them was spoken about by the father and the grandfather. Very sad, very sad. I don't know the age of this young man, but they're going to go get him. They apparently don't want their grandchild with the wife of their daughter. So, yeah, I understand all of this. It's just, it's sad so many ways. It's sad, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to break down a few things for you without giving up too much after I get through a couple of these articles here. And this one on Tim Walz. So he activates this Emergency Operations Center, right, in EOC. Governor Tim Walz activated Minnesota's Emergency Operations Center within hours of an ICE-involved shooting in South Minneapolis, as concerns grow that the coalition of left-wing activist groups could mobilize in the streets, evoking familiar and uneasy parallels to the unrest that followed the death of George Floyd. To Minnesotans, know that our administration, and this is funny. Don't fall off the chair. Everybody be ready. Grab something. To Minnesotans, know that our administration is going to stop at nothing to seek accountability from Tim Walz. Accountability and Justice. All right, Tampon Tim. Accountability in Minnesota? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. Yeah. Billions of dollars out the door. I just found out today, I don't have it in my thing, but I just found out today that those freaks were taking out $350 million a week. Yeah. Out of Minnesota, and into Somalia. Minnesota part 2, I guess. Yeah, Somalisota. Thank you, Joe. Very, very good. Somalisota. Yeah. Why don't they just blend them? It's the same thing, right? And it's your tax dollars that are keeping Somalisota going, unfortunately. Matt says, Tampon Tim can stick it where the sun doesn't shine. You are absolutely right. What is it? A tampon? I don't know. Anyway, he told reporters, this Walls guy told reporters at a press conference, late afternoon hours. He added, "We have soldiers in training," says Tim, "and prepared to be deployed if necessary." Now, this article doesn't really say it, but the fact of the matter is he's threatening the real and regular Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy. Minnesota is the land of 1,000 lakes, by the way. That he has soldiers in training. Not quite out of training yet, What do you do in these training centers you got there, Tim? Are these men? Are these women? Are these men wanting to be women and women wanting? What are they? We don't know, but they're training. They're in training. We've been told and we've been warned that those troops are going to go against regular Army, regular troops, regular Marines. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is traitorous. This is sedition. And this is insurrection. And we're going to get to insurrection in a little bit. Jody says, did you see the Somali ambassador to the UN owns a daycare in Minnesota? Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jody, for mentioning that. Why would anyone in Somalia not want to take advantage of this? The figure that I saw was that one family who lived in a huge house that was angry that people were outside of their door that you and I paid for, was making $2.5 million a year. $2.5 million a year, ladies and gentlemen. This is crazy. I mean, I think this is all a preamble to the ultimate and very necessary declaration that the President of the United States will make at some point, meaning he will invoke the Insurrection Act. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that it is going to happen. I don't know exactly when. So when we're trying to put a timeline together, you'd have to say, okay, what is the important event coming up? Well, the 2026 midterms, right? They're coming up in November. Very important, aren't they? Yes, they are. So do you think, and just let me know, do you think that they're going to riot, burn, and, pillage prior to maybe the summer, like they did in 2020, the summer of love? Prior to the midterms, are they going to plunder, pillage, and burn after, if they, if we can actually have secure elections and they all lose? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. But ladies and gentlemen, this is wonderful in a few different ways. One, it's gonna quell all this violence, and it won't take you and me being out in the streets. We won't need to be in the streets. Okay, they're gonna have National Guard, they're gonna have Marines, they're gonna have regular Army. It's gonna be quick, and it's gonna be decisive. Okay, it's not gonna last as long as the usual suspects want it to last. So, that being said, what I believe is going to occur after that is a series of military tribunals. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, it was in the drops from that 17th letter thing. I think you're getting my drift. So what does it take to invoke the Insurrection Act? Here's the main thing about it. In order to invoke the Insurrection Act, you have to have a failure at the three branches of government, a catastrophic failure. Now, we know that there is a catastrophic failure to act on executive orders, on obviously Tim Walz and Pritzker, and I'm sure Newscomb and Hochul and all the rest of them. They're going to refuse to allow ICE to deport their voters, and they're money getters, right? Jody says some of us would love to hit the streets. Yes, but and you probably agree with me. We would love to hit the streets, but it's a trap. It's a trap. That's what they want us to do, because they want a full-scale civil war, and we don't want to give them anything they want, unless they want jail or capital punishment. That could be meted out. But again, I think these things are coming with military tribunals. And again, the reason for that will be the invocation of the Insurrection Act and the reason for it being invoked, which is the legislative is powerless. It's sick how, utterly corrupt that legislative body is. Only matched by the judicial branch. Okay. Can anybody say Boasberg? All right. Can anybody say, who are all these other kooks, right? How about the one that let the illegal alien out the back of her chambers there while she sent the ICE agents to the front desk or something? It was just crazy. Barry says it won't happen in the winter in Minnesota. You know what? That's a pretty good bet. I would take that bet. Although we are seeing that lady tried to run down the ICE agent. There was snow there. It was pretty cold. Maybe not Minnesota cold. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm coming off of whatever this thing is we got going on here in the valley. There's like I don't know if it's flu. I don't know if it's some sort of craziness, but it's pretty much gone. I just haven't talked this much since I got it, which was a couple weeks ago. But the super flu influenza, yeah, which I did not get a shot for, because otherwise I'd still be laid up in bed. So thankfully I didn't choose that. But yes, I definitely think that it will be a good thing for America, the Insurrection Act. It will be a good thing for America, and it will bring us forward fast. The other part of it, the other aspect that is going to be very good, is the justice system that is so crooked, so inept, so corrupt, is going to be basically sidelined. And we're going to have military tribunals that are going to have, hopefully, public trials. And things are going to be set out pretty quick, because if you don't really understand yet, hopefully you will. And I know that the viewers of this show do understand. But for those of you that might later be watching and you're wondering who is this, Otter guy coming at me from a couple different angles here. Well, I'm the guy that's trying to explain that all of these happenings are not just civil disobedience. That stops when you try to kill federal agents. Okay? What it really is insurrection. And it's being done by so-called elected officials. Now, to unravel this, the tribunals are going to have to investigate. And I know they've been doing this, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to go pretty quick because they've been on it since 2016. Okay? They've been on this. And they were not resting between 2020 and 2024. I can assure you of that. So they know who's stealing our money. They know where it's going. The last one was a great example of how it's going out to Somalia there in Africa. And what they are preparing us for is a time when true justice will occur. What do I mean? Well, since the Insurrection Act will at some point be invoked, this is my prediction, and since the tribunals will be getting to the bottom of things, there won't be these Obama judges that pop up, or these Bush judges that pop up, or these Clinton judges that pop up because, well, they're paid to pop up and they've been to Epstein Island and they got to pop up to save their skin, okay? All that's going to come to a screeching halt because they have no more power. They have no more power. Their insurrectionist ways, their treasonous ways will have caught up to them, okay? And I'll tell you, the law under the Insurrection Act is going to be much different than what we're used to now, ladies and gents. And I'm not talking about speech, okay? I'm talking about action. You want to run down an ICE agent? I suspect you'll be in the Hooskow before dark. Or if it is dark, before morning. Because they're not going to be joking, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be similar, I think, I would imagine, to what they did in Washington, D.C., where they flooded the tunnels, so to speak, with National Guardsmen and women, soldiers. Things pretty much calmed down. We don't hear about people being set on fire in the D.C. area anymore, D.C. subway area anymore, do we? No, we don't. Because they are, I guess, in the military terms, in very strict military terms, they are locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Okay? You come at them, they're coming right back with force. It's not going to be a good idea for you to come at them, Tim. Your in-training troops, not going to cut it. Not going to cut it, Tim. And all you will be doing is sending people to their untimely meeting with their maker. That would not be good for many people. Some people, well, it remains to be seen. But the fact of the matter is, he won't be doing any of that fighting. He won't be doing any of it at all because he is weak. He is a coward. And he's prissy. Yeah, just to use that word. I know it's antiquated, but it's very much apropos. I must tell you that. So, we'll get back to this in a minute. There's a couple more I want to let loose with. And this article from Zero Hedge. Trump warns NATO. Without America, there is no alliance. You better believe it. What are you going to do, Europe? What are you going to do, huh? What are you going to do? Nothing. You're going to do nothing. You and your man wives are going to do nothing. Right, Macron, maricon? Right? Maricon, you gonna do something over there? Huh? It's crazy. President Trump says that Russia and China have zero fear of NATO. Why would they? Why would they have fear? Without the U.S. being in the alliance, in a Wednesday Truth Social post, which comes not only as the White House says it intends to acquire Greenland. That's another story, ladies and gents. This is going to be a good one. Okay, we still got some time here. Still got some time. Throw up your comments if you got any ideas on this Greenland thing. But President Trump says basically, without us, you're nothing. But also, soon on the heels of ultra-controversial U.S. military ouster in Maduro's Venezuela. That's another thing that happened in the interim of the Bitcoin Otter shows, is that Mr. Maduro got with Trump and said, hey, man, I want out and I want a deal. Come on in, take care of these Cubans that the deep state has shackled me to. Take care of them. Bomb some fields, empty fields, so no civilians get hurt. And sack me up and take me to America. I'll tell you everything that we did to you. I'll tell you about the voting machine, Smartmatic. I'll tell you about the Dominion machines. I'll tell you about all the drugs that get sent there. I'll tell you about anything you want to know. Just let me go afterwards. So Donald Trump said, "Yeah, sure, man. We'll send you an Uber, pick you up, and just to make sure that you don't have any problems getting set free. We're gonna, try you in the Southern District of New York, where no communist has ever gone to jail. A fact. We got a comment here by Barry. All that Minnesota money running through USAID. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, yes, and yes. USAID needs to be dealt with. And all the other aids, the Minnesota aid or whatever they call it over there, which could have been, of course, shunted through there. But that is my assessment of what happened with Nicolas Maduro. Is it Nicolas? Anyway, I think he made a deal. And then he had that video just before, a week or two before it, screaming about, how Trump was a coward. Ven para mí ahora. Cobarde, dijo. Yeah, okay. I think that was signal, personally. I think that was signal to say, Mr. Trump, could you please get me out of the frying pan? Please. Jody says, you're going to need someone like me to help explain this to all the normies when it happens. Yes, absolutely we need people like you, Jody. We do need you. We are in this for that very thing. You have a sphere of influence, regardless of how big or small it is. I have a sphere, regardless of how big or small it is. And we also want to put the message out there that, hey, man, if you're very confused about the events in your time, there are some of us that can, if not tell you exactly what's going on, because we're not read in, if you will, we can help you understand that things are topsy-turvy in our world. But as long as you don't follow the mainstream media, you're going to have a real good chance at thinking this through using critical thinking skills, logic, and history. Certainly not the history in your textbooks, and certainly not the history from the History Channel. Those are lies. Those are damned lies. And those are statistics. Those are all three things that are very horrible in the life of Mr. Samuel Clemens, who told us about this way back when. Barry says, Venezuela was never about drugs. You're right. Marcos, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It was never about drugs because, face it, Venezuela wasn't really the big sticking point as far as, the fentanyl and all that stuff. What it really is about is Smartmatic and Dominion voting machines that started in Venezuela, I believe in 2004. At the very least, it was there in 2007. Okay. Now, we don't exactly know when they started to leverage those and use them from Venezuela to the United States, because there's a thing called the internet, and that can allow you access from remote locations, because there are crooked people here in the United States and they hook up voting machines to the internet. Is that a surprise? Well, then you must watch the news. Anyway, this is what's going on with Maduro. I think they are really prepping him. They're probably getting the makeup on him already. They're going to get him in front of the cameras, and he's going to tell us everything that the mainstream news will lie about the next day or that very night. Okay? So, Jody, like you said, people are going to need some explanation. And I won't pretend to have all the answers by any means. What I will say, though, is we can show where thinking skills, critical thinking skills, logic, and a complete blackout of the mainstream media will immediately give you more brain power. You will immediately feel like, wow, I've taken back my own mind. I don't need these. I'm going to just be nice. Yahoos like Jimmy Kimmel telling me what I need to do because, well, he went to Epstein Island and now he hates Trump, right? We don't need all of these things and all of these people telling us what to think, because we're going to think for ourselves. This is out of the Gateway Pundit. Trump administration considering paying thousands to Greenlanders to get them to support joining the United States. While in Europe, the globalist leaders in quotes here, because they are not elected leaders, ladies and gentlemen. These are installed leaders, right? Europe is lost, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to get on that in a second to explain the whole Greenland phenomena. they're in a panic, expecting the U.S. military offensive to forcibly seize. Ladies and gentlemen, there's like 30,000 people on Greenland. You kidding me? We're gonna go in there and kill people. Stop. We just bombed empty fields in Venezuela. Come on. So Jody says, you have to see the picture of him posing for a photo shoot showing the peace sign. Yeah. I don't think Maduro would be foreign to the peace sign at all. He doesn't want war. Heck no, man. He just wants freedom. So, again, part of this article says that the Arctic island can be attacked at any moment, and a report has arisen suggesting the Donald J. Trump administration may be about to employ a very different deep pockets approach. Okay? So, U.S. officials are reportedly discussing lump sum payments to Greenlanders in order to convince them to secede from Denmark and join the United States. To me, I mean, why don't we just take the Somalians, okay, with their $350 million suitcases a week, okay, send them to Greenland and have them drop off the cash that they stole from us there. And maybe they could set up some, daycare centers there in Greenland. They'll be very cold, but it will be fun to watch. Barry says, and sometimes I think it doesn't have to be said, but Barry, thank you for saying it. Whenever we say mainstream news, the rats at Fox are very much included. Fox News sucks. Yeah, it really does. They're partisan, like all the others, but in a different direction, I guess. But still, they're not for America. They are for a corrupt party, which is called the Republican Party. They're not for America. They don't love America. They love Republicans because Republicans give them money. Okay? Because Republicans and Democrats are in the same boat. Two sides, one coin, and it's worthless. Even worse than worthless. It's harmful. So Jody says he was in cuffs with an agent, is what I meant, looking like he was enjoying his time in the USA. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that elite guard or whatever he had around him, all those Cubans, that was there set up by the deep state players to make sure they keep their puppet in line. You can imagine sort of the same thing would be happening with Zelensky, right? So, they're gonna do that with Zelensky, and who knows? They got a bunch of puppets out there, right? But the fact of the matter is, these are installed. They're not elected, and you can see that the parades and the celebrating of all the Venezuelans, which was opposite from all of the paid protesters from Trans Tifa and all those groups, right, that come out onto our streets with ready-made signs. The whole USAID thing. Back to your thing, Barry. USAID, maybe some 3 letters, maybe NGOs with stolen tax dollar monies that Soros, gave them these signs or whatever. Who knows? But they are very quick at the signs. In fact, I think they're done before the events have even occurred, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, there are people in our country who are marching through the streets demanding that the dictator of Venezuela be returned. And then next week, they will have signs that say no kings. Yes, yes, and yes. These people are not only confused, they're very well paid. Okay? If you think these people are going to go out in the freezing cold and protest like that for nothing, then you're crazy. They got off of their mom's couch in mom's basement, and they went and they protested. They were mad, they were angry, and they were paid. Yes, yes, and yes. So Matt says, another shooting just now in Portland, really? Holy cow, man. Another attempt to run ICE USBP, still developing. Thank you, Matt. Did that occur like an hour ago? We've been on since around 6, so we've been on almost an hour now. Man. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is just playing into the hand of the U.S. military in regard to the Insurrection Act. It's always had to have been the military, and it will be the military. It will be quick, it will be swift, and it will be just. Ladies and gentlemen, some of us would want to be out on the streets, but it's all a trap. All of it. You cannot gather any type of patriotic meeting of more than 2 to 3 people without there being an FBI agent and probably some intel goof, right? So this is how our country runs now, because the deep state is very deep and the swamp is very wide. So they have recruited bad actors, let's just call it. Bad actors like who was that dude who was always so smarmy? Gonna go check into that. Yeah, thank you, Jody. Throw an update or whatever into that. We'll see what's up with that. So it started with an S. Somebody help me out here. He was just a smarmy FBI agent, somebody that really needed to be slapped around by his woman, which was a lawyer. So maybe she could do the job. But the problem with what's going on now is that people are going to get hurt. Okay. As we know that one woman was shot because she tried to run down the ICE agent. It just could have gone so much better had she not been there and had no one paid her to be there. Portland thing. Yes. Almost everything is a Portland thing unless it's a Minnesota thing or unless it's a Chicago thing or a California thing. But Portland is a really seedy place. I'm glad we're not there. That place was basically overthrown. It probably started around the time when the grunge bands started out. I don't know if you guys remember that. When real 80s music was usurped by guys in flannels screaming about sweaters and so forth. If you're not from the 80s, you're not going to get that. But if you are, enjoy it. So, ladies and gents, and let's go back real quick to this Greenland thing. Do you really think, again, the mainstream news is trash. Do you really think that after all this time that Trump, Putin, and Xi have not, other than, verbally, been in any kinetic action, one against the other, do you really think that Trump is afraid of Putin? Do you really think he wants Greenland because it's going to help stop Russia? That's going in the opposite direction, ladies and gentlemen. These fools, these buffoons, these rats in the mainstream media, to include Fox. Thank you, Barry. To include Fox. These boobs, okay? They think we're as retarded as they are. We are not. If you wanted to do that, it would go the opposite way because Alaska is only a few miles, relatively. I'm not going to swim it. But the fact of the matter is you'd be going the other way, okay? You'd be fortifying the tip of Alaska. And there's no need for that because let me let you in on something, and you as viewers already know, Russia is not our enemy. Vladimir Putin is the enemy of the centralized banking cartel because he doesn't let them in. And are they pissed. So they park on his doorstep in an illegal nation state called Ukraine. They hire some Nazis called the Azov Battalion, and they begin attacking, and they begin throwing people in Ukraine in vans. This is who their fodder is. This is the cannon fodder, right? So Greenland is not to put a buffer between us and Russia. No. Greenland is to put a buffer between us and Europe because Europe is lost. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think that we have been overrun by illegal immigration, just try to view Europe and their installed leaders, those crazy, crazy white people who say that the worst people in the world are white people. It cannot be explained. If I were to tell my grandfather about this stuff, he would probably call me crazy. And maybe I am. Matt says, Russia's on our side to take out the global cabal. You better believe it. And so is Xi. I don't know if you know this. Look this up. Don't take my word for it. Xi fought the CCP. Yes. His father was jailed by the CCP. Communist Red Chinaman. He had, and I can't remember the exact thing. It was like dragonflies or something like that. It was like this resistance movement against the CCP. So Xi is not who the mainstream media is telling you either. Jody says, man and woman shot at city council meeting. Border Patrol, not ICE, still early in the event. Wow. Okay, so if Jody, did they shoot at the city council, or were a man and a woman shot while at the city council meeting? Just for a little clarity here. This is crazy. And ladies and gentlemen, again, every step we take towards this madness brings us closer to the invocation of the Insurrection Act and the quelling of this violence in our streets. And the tribunals will start with traitors, with people who are currently in a status of insurrection against the United States of America, declaring war on federal troops with troops that are still in training. Tim Walz, that guy, believe it or not, they wanted him to be our vice president at the meeting. Okay. Wow. Man, thank you, Jody. I appreciate you keeping us up on this stuff. You too, Matt, breaking the story and all. But it is sad. It is sad because none of us really want this violence to go out into the streets. None of us want violence. But these people cannot abide by laws. The first reason is they won't be rich if they abide by laws. The second reason is if they abide by laws, they won't be rich. Okay, I kind of cheated there. Let's go to the third reason. Communism cannot come to the United States if they abide by laws. They have to break all of our laws because our laws are there for a reason. And if we abide by them, we can continue on in this republic. It's a constitutional republic. It is not a democracy. Okay? A democracy is mob rule. And we know that, dead people are voting and all that stuff. That is mob rule. I understand. But the fact of the matter is we are a constitutional republic and we need to start acting it. Yet we have been shot through with corruption. Shot through with corruption. I mean, look at what George Bush and his ilk did to New York, right? They say, oh, it was Al-Qaeda. It was that guy in the cave. My ass. It was an inside job. Everybody knows it. Anybody who knows how to think knows it. Old Rummy said we were missing $2.5 trillion the day before the Pentagon got blown up. Right? And guess what offices in the Pentagon got blown up by a missile, not a plane? Guess which ones? The investigative offices, naval intelligence, the military. Yes, yes, and yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we were overthrown in 2020, and Nicolas Maduro is going to tell us all about it because it happened in Venezuela first, and then they helped do it here in the United States. So we're getting close to that time where I got to sign off, ladies and gents. I really appreciate you listening, and I appreciate even more the participation because I know very little. I just like to alert people that what little I do know might be important to you. So thank you for sharing. Can't even trust our FBI director. Absolutely. Although I must say that everything now is kabuki theater, kayfabe, if you're into wrestling, right? I very much think that all of these people are actors and they're watching a movie and that our U.S. military knows and they're in control. The Patriots are in control. I won't say we have nothing to worry about, but let's get our houses in order. Let's remember that God wins in the end, and we should be on his side. Why don't we join up? It's the only army that doesn't kill people. That's the Christian army. Jesus' army. Now, he's going to come back one of these days, And if you're his enemy, it's not going to be pretty. But that said, he's given you plenty of chance to join his side. Why don't you do it? I did, and my life changed for the better, much better. Now, I am far from perfect, and sometimes probably even far from good. But I really do love this country, and I love the good people of this country. There are enemies, domestic as well as foreign, I understand, and we understand that. But here's the fact of the matter. Our government, whether people want to argue it or not, it is a prima facie fact that our form of governance is, at least in part, some would say a majority, but others say no, I don't know, it's just at least in part, on the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible has so upheld our society for 250 years that if we would just go back to our roots, we won't need a revolution. We will merely need a reformation. I can assure you of that. Jody says, of course, in Portland, right after Minnesota, 2 biggest protest states. Yes, people are making a lot of money in those states. But I'll tell you what, once the real military takes action, it won't matter how much they're getting paid. They're going to the Huskow. Maybe we should just employ the techniques of one Nayib Bukele out of El Salvador. His techniques were very, very effective. In fact, he sells rent. He rents space in his prison. Some of these Portland protesters, these Minnesota protesters, well, maybe they have a bed waiting for them. 3 hots and a cot, man. 3 hots and a cot. You know? It's probably going to be better than their mom's basement anyway. One other thing before we leave. Michael Byrd, who shot an unarmed woman at January 6th, guess what he was running for years? If you guessed a daycare center, ding, 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 ding. Yes, murderous Michael Byrd killed an unarmed woman and ran a daycare with no kids because he's in on it too. Criminals everywhere. Criminals to our left, criminals to our right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I will ask God to bless you, to bless your families, and may He bless America. May God bless America. May God bring all of this to a peaceful resolution so that the future generations, our children, our grandchildren, will have so much more opportunity than we had. Have a level playing field of meritocracy, if you will. Yeah, we're going to need to help out those people who really can't help themselves. But let's winnow out those that would steal our money, steal our time, and steal our lives. Starting with the bankers, starting with the Federal Reserve that is not federal and has no reserves. Let's start with them. And our boss, you know what? He's not our boss because we are governed by consent. And we sent a mandate in the 2024 election that we needed a guy. We needed a man that wasn't going to back down, wasn't going to pussyfoot around. He was going to take him, and he's doing it. He's doing it. And we voted for him. He's our representative. He's not so much our boss. He's our representative. He represents what we want to happen in this country, which is peaceful. A peaceful termination to all this jackassery. So, thank you very much. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless America. Until next week, the Bitcoin Otter is out. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the Bitcoin